Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has pledged to move forward with an offensive in the southern Gaza city of Rafah. Israeli troops will be deployed despite international concerns. It could endanger the lives of 1.5 million Palestinians in the area. Mr Netanyahu says no international pressure will stop them from achieving their aim of eliminating Hamas.
We cannot have a future for Gaza, a future for peace, a future for Israel, if Hamas, a terrorist organization committed to our genocide, remains intact. If it remains intact, it will regroup and reconquer the Gaza Strip and, as they vowed, repeat the massacre again and again and again.
Mr Netanyahu also promising to help facilitate humanitarian aid in Gaza. There's been another airdrop overnight. Well, joining us live now, the Liberal Senator and the former Ambassador to Israel, Dave Sharma, out of Canberra. Dave, good to see you as always. So not much of a surprise here from Netanyahu staying the course on Rafah?
Well, I think he's staying the course, and all of Israel is on the elimination of Hamas and the inability of it to play any future political role in Gaza. And I think if you support a more hopeful future for Israelis, but also for the Palestinian people, you need to support that goal. Now, obviously, any military operation should minimise civilian casualties, and the large civilian population that is sheltering in Rafah needs to be protected. I expect Israel will do that, but clearly they are committed to finishing this war against Hamas and making sure they cannot mount the sort of terror attacks on the 7th of October again.
Does a more hopeful future involve Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu?
Well, look, that's ultimately something for the Israeli people to decide. He doesn't face elections anytime soon, but he can be brought down in a motion of no confidence in the Knesset. I think, look, the polls suggest that he is not particularly popular and he wouldn't be re-elected if he faced elections today. But I respect Israel's democratic processes and the rights of their voters there to make those sorts of decisions.
Speaking of the rights of voters, let's turn our attention to Russia. How much do they have, Dave? 88% is what Putin got this morning, according to the preliminary forecasts. Are you surprised it wasn't 100%?
Well, I think whatever figure is produced by the Russian Elections Agency, you need to take with a large grain of salt. This is clearly a choreographed exercise. Any credible political opposition was eliminated before the vote. Some, like Alexei Navalny, were
killed. Yeah,
appear they were murdered by Russian state security services. Others were removed from the ballot. This is a choreographed result that is. The outcome was known in advance, and they dial up or dial down the turnout and the voter support and everything else according to what sort of mandate they want to ensure Putin has for the next 6 years of his now 24 years in the Kremlin.
Yeah, and look, that's not unexpected. Everyone, again, expected that result to happen. But what does this mean for we've got him for another 6 years, the world's got him for another 6 years. What does this mean for the global order?
Well, it doesn't bode well. Look, clearly his focus right now is the prosecution of the war in Ukraine, and you would have to say that at the moment the prospects for Ukraine do not look as positive as they did a year ago. I think they are fighting incredibly courageously and bravely, but their international support is drying up, and there is wavering will around the world to continue to support that effort. For Putin, he will double down on that effort. He's already retooled and re-engineered the Russian economy to put it on a war footing. Munitions productions are up, sanctions evading is up. The economy has largely evaded or avoided or mitigated most of the worst effects of Western sanctions. So it's incumbent on us now to make sure that Ukraine prevails in this conflict. But I know that's a hard task. It's easy to say, but it's Ukrainian soldiers fighting and dying on the front lines, right?
Okay. Let's finish on China. Just a quick question here, Dave. We've got the envoy that's coming here this week, and Wang Yi here apparently wants to have a little meeting with Paul Keating while he's here. I mean, is this something, do you think, that Anthony Albanese would embrace?
Well, I think it just shows the divisions within the Labor Party on this issue. I mean, you've got Paul Keating, which is a more ferocious critic of the Labor Party's policies towards China than nearly anyone out there. And the fact that China is seeking a meeting with him, Wang Yi is seeking a meeting with Paul Keating, I think exposes the internal divisions within Labor over this, because here is one of their most revered former prime ministers telling them they've got it all wrong. And the current Labor front bench is way too hesitant about criticising Paul Keating and taking on his arguments. They pretend he's some doddery old uncle that, issues press releases from Darlinghurst. Well, no, he's a serious voice and they need to be combating his arguments.
All right, Dave Sharma, good to chat. We'll see you soon.